Ed here with the Digital Digest, and today I wanted to share a quick unboxing and first look at the Sony CyberShot RX100 Mark VI. Priced at a hair under $1,200 US. This is the most expensive RX100 to date, but also, of course, the latest and greatest. And as of today, July 10th, it is officially available for purchase. So what we're looking at here is, yes, a pocket camera, or pocketable, depending on the size of your pocket. And I've covered every single RX100 to date. And Sony really did bring point and shoot back into style with this camera. In fact, it made it a must-have for many consumers and professionals alike. And that's because inside this box, we've got essentially now a telephoto version of the RX100, something that I think a lot of you have been waiting for. Some who haven't can simply still look to the Mark V or Mark IV, that is if they care about 4K video. So essentially what we have under the hood is that same 1-inch 20 megapixel sensor, but now we have 24 to 200 millimeters in terms of optical reach. Now that does come at the expense of slightly slower glass, but you can see right there, f2.8 to 4.5, still very good. And in my opinion, not a real trade-off considering we're gaining so much in terms of optical reach again, turning this almost into a telephoto-esque pocket camera. 315 points of phase detection for the autofocus, 24 frames per second in terms of still imaging. You now have one push access to the EVF, and of course a touch screen which will allow you to change your subject, the focus point, as well as take images. 4K video still limited to 5 minutes, but again, this is just, in my opinion, a very big change from what we've all experienced with the RX100 lineup over the years, because we are now finally looking at a camera with optical reach, and that's what makes it exciting. So first thing out of the box, your wall adapter right there, and your USB, micro USB to traditional USB for charging, lanyard, your wrist strap, and then the camera itself is right here, a little bit bigger than the previous gen, the Mark V, which I've been happily using since launch. And of course, attachments there for a shoulder strap if you want to use one. And then last but not least, the battery type, which is probably my only complaint with this brand new offering, is that I would have loved to have seen a new battery type, because I believe we're still looking at the same efficiency. I'm looking at the box to see if there's a rating, and there is not. But it'll be interesting to see what type of battery life the RX100 Mark VI has. So here is the camera. And again, the key difference here is that the Mark VI now has a zoom that it simply never had. We were always limited to that 24 to 70 reach. It did change a little bit in terms of speed, in terms of optical reach. It did fluctuate mildly over the course of the 5 generations. But now here, Sony has rewarded those of you who have been waiting for a legitimate optical reach on this camera. And it just, in my opinion, if it performs as I expect it to, there's the EVF, it just makes it an even better offering for those of you that do really lean on this as your all-the-time, go-everywhere camera, because now you have something that actually has optical reach that simply didn't exist. Now, for those of you, as I mentioned before, that are still going to be looking for, the fastest piece of glass available in the RX100 format, you will definitely want to stick with the Mark V or the Mark IV. But if you've been waiting for optical reach, which, again, I see it as a very small trade-off for how fast this piece of glass is, the f2.8 to 4.5, then this is really a fantastic piece of kit in that regard. HDMI output, the multi-port, which of course can be used for charging as well as other accessories right here, as you can see. And basically everything has pretty much stayed the same. We're not looking, even though I'm having trouble closing that door, we're not looking at a very different camera outside of the fact that it does have greater optical reach. We're still leaning on Sony's XAVC-S format for 4K video, It is HDR certified as well. You have S-Log on here, but otherwise pretty much the same. Bluetooth, Wi-Fi. You can still remote control this, but it does not have access to the Play Memory Store anymore. I'm going to see if this battery has any kind of charge. I doubt that it will. Of course, I do have BP X1s in the stable, but let's just see if it powers on. Battery bay. Seems like the door has changed a little bit. Yep, it now kisses the tripod mount, opens up a little bit wider, which might be a good thing. I'm not sure. We'll find out with use. See if I can get this battery in. It's also your SD card slot, and let's see if it powers up. We do have some power. So I'm going to go ahead and skip this for now. And I just want to show you, okay, as you see, an external hard drive there, how or what the zoom looks like as it extends. So there we are at the full 200 millimeter, and it really isn't that large. And when compared to the RX100 Mark V, really not that much of a difference. So I'm really quite impressed with the job Sony did in terms of getting a lens that's more than double the reach of the existing model into a body that is nearly identical. In fact, it looks identical. The barrel just seems a little bit thicker. Sony also did launch a companion product for this, a holder of sorts that screws in and gives you on the tripod mount and gives you control of video and still capability for those of you that are vloggers. Really nothing groundbreaking in that product offering. But again, to have 24 to 200 millimeters now paired with that 1-inch sensor that has made the RX100 lineup really the standard to compete with, which only Panasonic has really challenged, but not really, because again, Sony, in terms of their quality, their fidelity, seems to take everyone out. It just continues to push the envelope, and the build quality still robust, solid, exactly what you'd expect. And I'm just excited to get out there and start testing this out. And the fact that now my Go Everywhere camera has optical reach just makes it all that more appealing. So excited, if you couldn't tell already, and can't wait to share some samples. And of course, compare this to the RX100 Mark V, which is almost the exact same camera, but without, of course, the optical reach. Any questions or comments, please feel free to post them. Hit that like button. And as usual, please feel free to subscribe. Later.